Good morning, good afternoon, everyone. Fantastic. Thanks so much for joining our webinar today. I think for some of you joining us from Asia or Perth, good morning. And for everyone else, good afternoon. Fantastic. Thanks so much. Hey, Caroline, Cheryl, Con. Hi, Cosmo. Long time no see. Craig and David. Hi, Jesse. It's been a while.
The one-liners commence.
Yes.
Craig is here.
And Craig.
That is the correct energy. Well done, Craig.
Jody, how are you? Kelly, Ken, and Leanne, what time is it over there? It's 2 a.m., I guess. Now wait for another minute, and then we'll start the webinar around 2 past noon, Melbourne time. Thanks so much for setting aside time to join this. Yeah, hopefully it's going to be useful, and there'll be opportunities for question and answers as well. Hey, Sharon. Hi, Simone. Hi, SK. Long time no see. And Sonia. Hey, Terry, Teresa, and Tiger. Maybe another minute because there's still a number of people that's joining. We'll leave it 12:03 Melbourne time to start. All right, fantastic. I think we're ready to go. Brilliant. Thanks so much for your time. And it's we very much appreciate the fact that you've set aside time on a Monday morning or Monday afternoon to join our webinar today. So thanks so much. Now, before we start, what I'd like to do is I'd like to begin today by acknowledging the people of the Kulin Nation, traditional custodians of the land and waters on which we're meeting today, and pay respect to the elders past, present, and emerging. So thanks so much. Now, for those of you attending a TimeEdit event for the very first time, welcome. And for others that are attending our event second time, the third time, the fourth time, thanks so much from the bottom of our hearts. Really do appreciate your time today. Now, if you're not familiar with who we are, as in TimeEdit, we've prepared a very quick summary about the company to introduce you to us. So TimeEdit is an organization that delivers to education institutions a fully SaaS-based, web-deployed class and exam scheduling, as well as resource and room booking solution. Now, we actually started our business more than 20 years ago in Gothenburg in Sweden. And our products are currently used by more than 190 education institutions globally, including institutions in Australia and New Zealand. As you can see from some of the icons listed here, our guests representing AUT and University of Canterbury, as well as the University of Melbourne, and in Australia, La Trobe University, Australian Catholic universities are currently using TimeEdit as well. In addition to ANZ, we also have got customers located in Southeast Asia, in Singapore, the folks at Temasek Poly, which I believe are represented in today's webinar as well as Singapore University of Technology and Design. something that we're really proud of is the fact that in the last 2 years, all of the tenders that were released by institutions across ANZ, Southeast Asia, and Europe, we've been successful in 95% of them. In essence, 95% of those tenders have selected TimeEdit. And that's something that we're proud of, and no doubt we're working hard in ensuring that we deliver to their requirements. And then hopefully there's going to be more webinars like this to showcase the work that we've done with them. Now, while we're in the business of providing education institution with class and exams scheduling, as well as resource booking solutions, we're constantly looking at ways to evolve and grow our product suite. Hence, hopefully in the next couple of months or so, you'll hear a number of exciting announcements from TimeEdit in relation to a number of new products that we've recently added to our suite of solutions. That includes the fact that we recently acquired a curriculum management software provider, a company called Volsen, based out of the Netherlands. We're currently in the process of integrating the company as well as the product into our platform. So, watch this space as far as announcement around that acquisition is concerned. We will also be releasing a new suite of class allocation and registration products due out in Q4 this year. So again, we're planning to inform you within the next couple of months. So watch out for invitation to webinars. And lots of exciting announcements and webinars coming up soon. Now,
Richie, if you advance the slide deck, I don't know if we're still stuck on the logo slides.
Yep, okay, sorry. Yep. As you can tell, I'm at a certain age where it's difficult to multitask these days. So I can talk, but got to remember to click through. So I guess this slide here, thanks so much, Patrick, summarize some of the new additions to our suite of solutions there, and watch this space as far as invitations to announcements and webinars that we'll be sending out soon. Now, one webinar that you may be of interest to join is one that will be hosted by a partner of TimeEdit, a company called DVE Solutions. They will be running a webinar on the 26th of July to present to the sector, I guess, a case study on the deployment of TimeEdit at Australian Catholic University. Now, at that particular webinar, we'll be inviting ACU's academic registrar, Catherine Blythe, to talk about their experience working with DVE and TimeEdit as part of that project. Hence, if you're keen to join this particular webinar, please feel free to send me an email. My name is Richie. My email address is listed there, richie.tay@timeedit.com. Right, that's enough information about TimeEdit. Let's comment on the actual webinar, the main event. But before I introduce our guest, our special guest, let me do a quick intro to the TimeEdit team that's part of this particular webinar as well. Now, I realize I've not actually introduced myself here. My name is Richie Tay. I'm the Business Development Manager here at TimeEdit. I'm responsible for the ANZ region. And with me today, I've got Jordan Woolley. Jordan's our pre-sales engineer. Jordan, you want to say hi?
Hey all, great to see you. Great to meet you. If I'm meeting you for the first time, I know there's some familiar faces. Welcome to the webinar.
Fantastic. And Patrick Flynn, our bids manager. Patrick?
Hello, everybody.
Short and sweet, love that. But the main event today is our special guest. So they are Blair Daly, Director, Estates Policy, Planning and Performance at Auckland University of Technology. Blair, did you want to say something there about yourself?
No, been in started out in timetabling, so I do have a background in timetabling, but yep.
Awesome. Fantastic. Over to Kerry Sutherland, Scheduling Services Manager at the University of Canterbury, based out in Christchurch, New Zealand. Kerry, did you want to tell the folks about yourself briefly?
Kia ora koutou. I have been at UC in this particular role for the past 6 years in the scheduling position and just over 10 years at the wider UC business.
Awesome. Thanks, Kerry. And last but not least, Madeline Lee, Associate Director, Student Administration Transformation at the University of Melbourne. Madeline, did you want to say something about yourself and your role?
Yeah, hi. I just moved to this new role, but I've always been working in scheduling for many years now. I'm part of this project at Melbourne University, so yeah.
Fantastic. Thanks so much, Blair, Kerry, and Madeline. Now at this stage, I'll stop sharing and I'll ask.
Just lost you there for a sec there, Richie. I want to unmute.
Oh, sorry, did I accidentally mute myself? Yeah,
I got you back.
awesome. Yeah, brilliant. Did you want to pin us so that we can start the session? Yeah,
You
fantastic.
all should all be pinned there.
All right, brilliant. Now, as the title of today's webinar suggests, the purpose of this webinar is really to share with you the journey it's taken by the three institutions represented here today around how they've identified the fact that they need to fix their timetabling problems and the process in which they've gone about in preparing a procurement process, selecting TimeEdit, and where they're at in that particular journey. I know, particularly with Blair, with at AUT and Kerry, at University of Canterbury, you've already used TimeEdit to schedule all of your 2023 timetable. So it'd be good to hear from you in terms of that go live exercise as well. And also from yourself, Madeline, you're going live in 1.5 months' time, around late August. So again, your experience working with the product and with the team at TimeEdit as well. Now, as I mentioned earlier, both Patrick and Jordan would be monitoring the Q&A section and chat box. So if you do have any pressing questions and whatnot, feel free to type them all in that section. And at the end of today's webinar, the final 10, hopefully 15 minutes, we'll be able to run through your questions and hopefully respond to most of them. Right, thanks so much, Blair, Kerry, and Madeline for participating in today's webinar. Now, given the fact that today's webinar pretty much will be focusing on the fact that you've gone through that journey in terms of recognizing there are pain points and how you've gone about addressing the timetabling pain points and your procurement process. If I were to turn back the clock 2 to 3 years ago, are you able to share with us what were the key reasons why your institution has decided to replace your legacy timetabling system? Maybe I'll get Blair to kick off with your response.
Well, we were having issues with our previous system. We were seeing bugs that weren't being fixed, and we got a bit worried. We'd been in that position once before, and basically, it wasn't good. Timetabling is a key system for the university, so we felt that we needed to start looking around for a replacement at that point, and so that was probably the main driver that set us off on this journey.
Awesome. And yourself, Kerry, was that the same sort of challenges?
Similar. Yeah, we also had a new CIO come in at UC at the end of 2019 who really wanted to push a cloud strategy. So almost every piece of software that we can get, any application we can get our hands on, they want to be cloud-based. And our previous software supplier had made many promises for 5 years for a cloud platform and had never delivered. So that was one of the biggest drivers from UC, was a lack of any sort of future that we saw with them in that cloud space.
And Madeline, same teams as far as what Blair and Kerry have shared?
Very similar, and the support we're getting from the vendor is just not so appropriate, on the level of service is just not there these days, and the bugs, and the university had years ago budgeted for us to actually go on a discovery journey to find a new system to actually meet the requirement of scheduling, being the main system for timetabling for the university.
Yep. All right. Now, thanks so much for sharing that. And I'm sure a number of institutions represented in the audience today would probably be experiencing the same level of challenges in relations to the software that they're currently using. just trying to understand, so with the recognition that there are issues and there are challenges there, what were the steps that you took to enable the institution to really look into a proper formal procurement exercise? Maybe I'll start off with you, Kerry.
We started during COVID lockdowns. Apparently, I don't have anything better to do. So we started contacting all of the players in the market that we could or knew about, and reached out to them just to get an idea of what was available in the market. That helped us or informed us. We had to put forward an A3 business case to for a request for procurement internally. So that had to get signed off by 4 senior leadership team members here at UC. We had to put in approximate budget costs. We had to put in project plan costs. We had to write, once that was approved, we had to write a full business case, and we had to write our full list of business requirements to go out for tender. And we did have to do a full tender process under the government requirements here in New Zealand.
Yep. And yourself, Madeline, at the University of Melbourne?
I think we did a discovery piece. Last year, we had BAs on board to look into our requirements, what are the pain points. We had our process improvement group in the university looking at our processes. And it's all, well, we started procuring this year, early this year, and signed off the contract and on the way in the implementation stage. Yes.
Going live soon as well, I must add. Yeah,
Yes.
which is very exciting. And Blair,
Fingers
I'm
crossed.
sure, yes. And I'm sure Blair at AUT is a similar type of approach.
We had a much simpler approach. We sort of started this process during COVID. So we were able to do a market scan where we looked at what was on the market, and the scheduling community had a whole lot of demonstrations of different software that we went through. So we drew up a list of our requirements, and then had TimeEdit provide their responses to those and how we could deal with those things we required.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah. So, all right. So you've got internal improvement. The next step would be a procurement exercise, and I'm sure a number of the audience out there would be interested to find out, what's worked, what were the lessons learned in order to ensure that that process flows through smoothly. Were there anything that, on reflection, that you could have prepared information well, or procurement could have done things well? Lesson learned that you might want to share with the audience out there.
Let procurement know and let the legal team know that you're going through it and what your deadlines are, because that was a real issue for us, was that they didn't quite understand the urgency of deadlines and the fact that we had to start working with TimeEdit on a certain date to be able to produce our timetable by our required date. As it was, we actually started our whole project. I think it was a month and a half before we had actually signed an official contract, because legal and procurement were still busy arguing over the dotted I's and the crossed T's. So it was sort of a gesture in good faith on both of our parts to start our project before we actually officially signed the contract.
Yeah. And Madeline, given that exercise probably commenced on completed around early in the year. Yeah.
Yeah, our procurement process was, I think we gave them quite a bit of heads up last year at the end of the year, and getting it ready to be for the RFP, and then before it goes to procurement. And we kind of have that in place. It didn't take long to sign the contract, but there was some negotiation. However, TimeEdit was on board and it started with us already, even though the contract hasn't officially been signed. So
yeah. And it's always a interesting challenge there, because with a timetabling project, we're going to work towards data collection, which is middle of the year. Yeah. Sorry, Black. Yeah, you go.
Sorry to interrupt. I was going to say the only other one I would suggest is involving your IT division early. We were very used to on-premise systems, and going to a cloud system for us was a bit of a change. So there were a few other hoops that had to be jumped through for privacy, security, all those sorts of things, making sure they were ticked off. So it was good getting that advice early on.
And in terms of preparing for procurement, I mean, what level of documentation and work each of the institution represented here have to kind of invest in to ensure that, you know, you've got the functional requirements, non-functional ready. So indication around, you know, things to do, time frame to get everything in place. Maybe Carrie?
Takes time. It takes a lot of time. I think our tender included over 350 line items of different requirements, be security requirements, functional requirements, digital requirements, and think of every possible weird scenario to include, because there are some real gotchas that you think are a given in how a scheduling tool should work, but they're really not. So you really do have to consider your day-to-day BAU for all of the platforms that you're looking to replace. But then you also need to think about your fringe cases and your, you know, special faculty requests that you may or may not get at your institution, because those are the ones that will catch you out.
Is that similar to your experience there at University of Melbourne?
Yes.
Yeah. And Blair, I'm sure, yeah.
Yeah, likewise for us. Yeah, I think it's good to be really clear about your requirements and how they are satisfied and how they're not satisfied. To make sure that you get what you need.
Yeah, awesome. Maybe talk us through your evaluation process. And you know, we've obviously gone through that now, and you've picked TimeEdit, and we've deployed the system for you, Carrie and Blair, and we're in the process of deploying the system at the University of Melbourne. But maybe give everyone an insight around what were some of your evaluation criteria. Carrie?
We weighted ours. So we replaced our booking system. So we had Resource Booker and WRB here. So we had to replace that system. We had to replace our core scheduling system. We did not have to look at anything to do with student allocation, and we did not have to look at anything to do with exams. So those two were nice to haves, and we included them as low priority targets within our RFP, but they had a 5% weighting overall. Whereas when it came to the actual weighting, we made sure that data collection actually got its own special weighting in our system. So I think we had 30% was weighted on the resource booking element, and then the other 70% was weighted towards, I want to say it was 20% was weighted towards the data collection, and 50% was weighted towards the core BAU product. And that actually did help us quite a lot to set what was a nice to have versus what was essential to have. And it was quite interesting comparing the different products that we went to tender, that submitted to our tender, to see how they all stacked up against each other, looking at those different weightings.
Yeah, awesome. And for yourself, Madeline, at the University of Melbourne?
It's very similar to Carrie. We were replacing our resource booking system as well as WRB. Data collection is one of the highest pain point in the university, which is part of the finding from our process improvement group. And and the core scheduling system, what it can deliver, that was what got over the RFP. It's also similar weighting scoring system.
Awesome. And Blair, anything to...
We didn't have so much in the way of a weighting system, but we did have the nice to haves and the must haves, and they tended to be more around functional things that we did. Things like we have to be able to cope with a travel constraint. We have to be able to cope with lecturer research days. And it would be fair to say that not everything was there right at the beginning, but we knew we could see the timeline of where that was going to be when we went into it. We also did TE Viewer, TE Reserve. We had our integration through there as well. We were doing exam. So we had sort of those requirements under each different module that we were looking at.
Awesome. Now, I'm sure this is a question that everyone's, interested to understand and to find out a bit more. What were the key reasons why you've selected TimeEdit? It's part of that stringent evaluation process that you've got in place as part of your procurement exercise. Carrie?
I was looking for somebody else to go first. So look, I'll be honest. I mean, we did 4 head-to-heads. So that was a question earlier. So we had 4 people who we took through the demos. And if we're perfectly honest, 3 of those 4, any one of those 3, we could have happily had and implemented here at UC. I'm not going to lie and say that nobody else was in the running, because they were. What we had to make sure as we went through is that we were being completely unbiased towards any product. We really relied on those responses to the tender, to our business requirements, to our functional requirements, and the ability to demonstrate them in the demos. And the demos are a really interesting one because they're very time consuming. Honestly, I think we did about 10 hours of demos with TimeEdit alone, because we did our first initial ones and we said, right, we actually want to delve deeper into some of our functional requirements. We chose them because they seemed to have a really good reputation internationally. We could see where they were going, where their business vision was, and we liked the energy from the company as well. They met the majority of our requirements, both functional and business and digital requirements, and they came out on top in our weighting with our percentages as well. So there was only one area where another product was higher than TimeEdit in our weighting system in one of the 3 systems. So that's how they came up on top.
Yep, awesome. And Madeline?
For us, I think we have a very big focus of bringing every faculty that are currently off system on board to an enterprise scheduling system. That is, so they were part of the evaluation to ensure that their requirements are actually met if we move to a new system. I think for TimeEdit, at the time when we did the RFP and the demo, TimeEdit has demonstrated a lot of functionality of the system and the capability of using TE Reserve for, well, that is a replacement for the ad hoc bookings, which for some of the faculty was really, really important. Like we have fine arts and music where students need to book rooms. So that is one of the reasons why we have selected TimeEdit. It kind of meet all our requirements, especially when we can bring all our faculty on board to the enterprise scheduling system.
Awesome. And Blair?
One of the big things for us, because we'd just been through COVID, we'd obviously had to deal with an on-premise system. So the maturity of a cloud-based system was probably one of the real big deciders for us. From all of the ones we looked at, TimeEdit was the only one that really had a longer history of having a cloud product and delivering timetabling through that. And then the other one was probably the preferences, having the data go straight into the system, which we hadn't had before. We'd always done manual data entry. So they were probably the 2 big things that came across on top of our other functional requirements.
Thanks so much for sharing that. I'm sure a number of the participants, the audience out there would be keen to understand what were the decision process as well. And I'm sure that's gonna that's something that the university has decided on. So definitely looking forward to the next phase of it, which we'll get to now. I guess you've been working with TimeEdit now in deploying the system into your institution. How was your experience working with the TimeEdit team? Kerry?
Really, really good. We started off with a Swedish-based project manager, but that became really difficult for us because all of us had young children. So that was quite difficult for us to all manage, working at different times, being sort of 14 hours out of sync. We moved to the Australian-based project team as they sort of got up and running. To be honest, everyone that we've worked with has been amazing. I wouldn't have a bad word to say about anybody, and if you know me, you know that I will say bad words if I'm working with someone. So yeah, everybody at TimeEdit has been really welcoming. Some of them are some seriously smart people that when you come to them with a problem, they can solve it in a way that you have never considered, but it works perfectly. So yeah, I would say they're very good when it comes to not just their product, but understanding scheduling as well. And that's something that we found as well when talking to some other vendors, is that they are very intimately aware of what it is that we have to deal with as schedulers, as timetablers. They're aware of those pain points, and they are constantly looking to improve their product. They're always asking questions about what they could do better. They're always focusing on improving what they've already got, which is damn good. So
yeah. Oh, thanks so much for that. Yep. Madeline, given that you're still in the midst of project deployment at this point in time, what was your experience? Yeah.
I think TimeEdit has been really helpful. In my project team, we have a big number of people that has got lots of experience in scheduling, people who has no understanding of what scheduling is. They've been really patient with my people, with the university and the project team. And we do have a lot of demand with our IT, with our environment, and TimeEdit has been really helpful in navigating us. What's the right thing to do? What should we be doing? And what's the next step? So I'm really, really grateful for TimeEdit and the crew that is working with us at the moment. I know we are demanding, but they've been amazing, very helpful in debugging, very helpful when we have questions.
Yep.
So we can actually get them anytime. We just team them and they'll respond.
Yep. Awesome. And Blair?
And yeah, exactly the same thing. Yep. And we saw that from the CEO right down to anyone in the company. And we were sort of starting very early, and we had a few issues. Product managers, CEOs, all more than willing to come along and say, what can we do to help? So yeah, no, I agree with everyone.
Awesome. Yeah. I mean, that's something that we're definitely keen on is to promote a very collaborative environment, and to develop partnership with our customers, because ultimately, while you're getting a product, you're really getting the whole company behind you as well, and that's how it should be. Yeah, from that extent. Yeah. Now, thanks so much for sharing that experience. Now, from a product perspective, obviously, you now have got a cloud-based modern scheduling engine that you're using for Carrie and for Blair, and very soon for Madeline. I mean, what are the anticipated benefits or advantages of implementing TimeEdit over your legacy product? Carrie?
it works.
It's faster. You can go first. I can go first, Carrie.
Really good start. So for us, it's meant that in the resource booking space, we can go from sort of looking at a very small thing to a huge amount of opportunity for both staff and students. We are testing, fingers crossed, this particular build, doing an autopilot with, which is an auto schedule run, looking at our carbon footprint. So the government fronted up half of our money for our new boiler system, and we have to prove that we're actually trying to schedule efficiently. So we're going to try and include that in our auto schedule run. So that's something which I think is quite cool and a bit different from our old system. I think what we're wanting to do down the track is really supported by the fact that it's got a much more modern API system behind it. That's a real benefit to our IT team. They're consuming all of our data now into our data lake, into our one source of all data, which we could never do in the past as accurately as what we can now do. So huge benefits.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah. Madeline,
Two things.
What are the
sorry.
Oh, well, Blair. Yeah,
Blair,
you go first.
Blair.
Yeah.
I was just going to jump in and say that the two
Yeah.
big things for us, I think, is if you have multi-week, multi-paper, multi-room activities, and you want to change 1 week or 1 paper or 1 room, it is unbelievably easy compared to what we had before. So that was an absolute huge advantage. And I would also reiterate that the staff functioning, the being able to make ad hoc bookings, edit their own ad hoc bookings and do that sort of thing, I have to say, when I first looked at it, I sort of thought it looked a bit basic, but that's something that our other staff have absolutely raved about, because they can see the availability of multiple rooms and pick and choose what day and time and where they want it. So they were the two big things for us.
Fantastic. Yeah. And Madeline?
I think it's the multi-year database that we will have. So you can, your timetable roll from each year to each year, simply, not on multiple databases. I think what Kerry and Blair was talking about, the reserve part, yeah, that will significantly improve the process for people doing ad hoc bookings.
Fantastic.
I missed one on mine as well, and that is co-codes. If you have to deal with co-codes and lots of co-codes, so much easier.
Yes.
Don't have to worry about variants, don't have to worry about JTAs. It is a huge benefit. And I also scheduled our whole summer school manually, which is very unusual for us. Typically, it would have taken us maybe a week of one person doing it, and I did it in about 2 days, and I was distracted by other tasks in those 2 days. So being able to go through and do mass bookings, you can do them very, very quickly, which is quite cool.
Yeah. I spoke to a customer, another institution in Australia that where we are deploying TimeEdit, and something that they've mentioned to me is the fact that they're now able to do things that they weren't able to do and be strategic and looking at how they improve and optimize the way that they do things going forward. Would that be something that you're now starting to think about as well?
I think we're already seeing that here at UC with the reserve. So being able to open up reserve more than what we traditionally could have, that has made a huge difference to us, and it does mean that we're much more efficient. So yeah, I would agree.
Yeah. And Blair?
Sorry.
Yeah. No, Blair, you go.
The big one for us, I think, is using preferences to get the data straight into the system, because with our previous system, we manually entered that. So we collected the data on a spreadsheet and then we manually entered it. So we're hoping that we will see some an ability to spend more time on the quality of the timetable rather than just having to get a timetable out because we're waiting for data and having to get it in and all that sort of thing. So yeah, certainly that's hoping for better outcomes there. Yeah.
Madeline, anything to add there?
Yeah, I think for us, I think one of the change that may come is during COVID, we would like the flexibility to publish a timetable half yearly. In terms of scheduling it full year annual timetable, but only publish them. So now there's functionality within the system that actually aligns with where the strategic are moving towards as well. So that's a big plus for us.
Yeah, awesome. Maybe let's talk about change management, because obviously, some of the institution represented here, the legacy product's been in use for a long time. So, expectation from internal staff. What were the methodologies or strategy that you've applied as part of your project to ensure that there's a smooth transition away from the legacy product into the new platform? Maybe I'll get you to talk to that, Kerry.
So we really focused on our subject matter experts, our SMEs from each faculty, as we started this process, and our SMEs actually got access to the demos that all of the companies did as well. And we got them to evaluate, not just our team in IT, it was a whole lot of people who looked at it. I think bringing people along on the journey is really critical, and constant communication out to everybody. So all of the departments, all the department administrators were getting constant updates from us being like, hey, look, we're trying this new thing. Let us know what you think. The thing is that it's so configurable that you can change things and you can change them very quickly. So the moment you get feedback, nah, I don't like it, change it, you could do that very, very quickly. So yeah, I think in terms of the change management, telling them that we were getting rid of our old data collection system, I think that actually got all of them on board anyway. They were already on board. The moment I said we were changing the data collection system, they were like, yes, let's do it. So for us, what we could do, admittedly, we're the first people to do this, I want to point that out, but we rolled our reservations that we've currently got, so our activities from 2023, we pushed them back into the data collector exactly as they are today and said, right, if you could request your key data points again, they're based on these, are you happy? And it means that they can literally click through 3 screens and they're done. Their data collection is done. If what they want is the same as what they had this year in terms of their duration, the number of activities, the number of streams, which courses are co-coded and which courses aren't, it's already there. They just have to click through it and go, yep, happy, done. So we can now do a whole department of data entry in about 4 hours, and we're talking over 100 courses or subjects. So, it's super quick for us now to do that. And so far we've had really, really positive feedback. We've been in data collection now for 2.5 weeks, and hugely positive feedback from everyone who is playing with it. So I'm somewhat relieved that we've lived up to the expectations.
Yeah, awesome. And Blair, on your end, what were the change management strategy that you put in place?
We kind of went the opposite way. I think we tried to reduce the whole change management thing, because when we introduced our last timetabling system, we went from manual timetabling to fully automatic timetabling. So that was a huge change and a huge process to go through. This time we basically said, we're still doing exactly the same thing, but you may be using a different tool. So we were really kept the data collection. We're just using a different tool to collect the data. When we do the scheduling, we're just using a different tool to do the scheduling. But we tried to keep all of those fundamentals exactly the same. Lots of getting out and talking to people and running training sessions, drop-in sessions for each of the modules. So yeah, it went pretty well.
It's all about communication, isn't it?
Yep.
You know, giving them heads up, setting expectation and meeting them going forward. Yeah. And Madeline, while you're in the midst of the project, what were the wins and the lesson learned from a change management perspective?
We in the central team has done most of the work, so we convert our practice leaders group into the BRG, where they will be involved in the project. So all projects update will go through the business reference group. One of the biggest change will be on some faculty not using spreadsheet to plan their timetable, but using preferences, key preference. And that is one piece of change management that could involve academic staff as well. So we're still planning it out. We're still in the midst of workshop with individual faculty, some of the faculty that we need to bring on board. And we're still in the middle of that, even though we got the central already. So hopefully the faculty are all aware that we're moving. Of course, they should be. But change management is a big piece, and we have a change manager who is in charge and take care of all our change management.
Yeah, fantastic. Awesome. Now, really do appreciate everyone sharing your experience. Hopefully, those watching this have found them to be really, really useful. Just looking at the time, we do have 12 minutes left. Are there anything else you'd like to add to, as far as your journey is concerned? Was that you, Patrick, that you're going to say something?
I was just going to say that's good just to wrap up, because we have a lot of questions that have come in from chat.
Right, okay.
So, yes.
All right, so we'll utilize the 12 minutes entirely. All right, fantastic. Over to you, Patrick. Any questions there?
Okay. All right. I'll start off with the question number 1, which is from Jennifer Wilson. What products have these 3 universities moved away from? So for all panelists, what was your previous legacy system?
Syllabus Plus.
Same, Syllabus Plus.
Okay, thank you. So next question from Matthew Scott. Were there any deal breakers in the other products reviewed that meant they were out of the running? If so, what were they?
Good question.
Lack of cloud maturity was probably one of the big ones for us. There were, almost all of the ones we looked at were not operating in the cloud or had just gone to cloud.
Yep.
We didn't have a... Sorry,
go Carrie.
You can go.
Okay. For Melbourne University, I think one of the deal breaker was the ability to do resource, as in resource booker replacement. One of our demo did not demonstrate that they can do active ad hoc bookings, and that was a breakup for the university.
Terry, any deal breakers?
Our one was actually the one of our deal breakers, or one of the parts that really failed one of the vendors, was the data collection phase. And when we as schedulers looked at it, we were like, oh yeah, it makes sense, it's fine. But when our SMEs looked at it, they were like, what is this and how do we do it? And it was really confusing for them. So for us, that was like, oh, that's going to have to tank that score, because these are the people who have to collect the data. And as all schedulers know, what comes in is what goes out.
Yep.
Okay, thank you. So the questions are continuing to roll in. So I'll just mention that if any we don't get to, we'll provide written answers and share them at the end of this session. So this next question is from Michael Fenton. What would redevelopment of the integrations from the student system to a cloud system look like? Our in-house developed SIS and its integrations are very immature, not cloud, point-to-point, database to database. So pushing to a cloud system would be very wild, something we're sadly facing for a move to cloud for any of the platforms. So I guess it's just a question of how was integration? How did you find integration with TimeEdit?
We actually suffered from a similar problem to you, the question owner. So we we do have an IT whiz who wrote a tool for us to be able to push mass amounts of data into TimeEdit from our on-prem. So our student management system is on-prem, so that's a big deal, and still looking to change it. But yeah, we ended up writing something to push the data in, and had absolutely no problems whatsoever with being able to push from on-prem to the cloud via that system.
Okay, fantastic.
Yep.
We used a third party to do our integration, which we've ended up with a good result, but there was a bit of stress involved in getting that sorted out. It's not for the faint-hearted. It's not impossible, and I think it's more accepted now. There's more people doing it now, so so there is the expertise out there, and but yeah, no, there certainly are challenges in that.
For Melbourne University, we have a master data hub, where like a data lake for years now. All our systems are integrated. The move to TimeEdit means a redesign of our integration and re-investigation of downstream system impact, and quite a few redesign of our integration needs to happen, and we're still in the process of working through that.
Okay,
it'd be fair to say, I think, that the sales speak is there's an API and it's really easy. All you have to do is tap into that. The reality is it's a lot more involved.
Yes.
So yeah, give yourself plenty of time to look at that. Sorry,
Yeah.
Richie, that was your sales speak.
No, but the reality, the work needs to be done. Yeah, and investment and resourcing needs to happen on both ends. Yeah, I agree with that. Sorry, Madeline, I interrupted you.
I was going to mention, if anyone is using Allocate Plus as your allocation system, Carrie will know this as well. You will really need to spend a lot of time thinking about the design of how the data is going to flow from your scheduling system to your Allocate Plus going forward, because it's very different the way scheduling is done now in TimeEdit.
Yep.
It's just a lesson learned from Carrie. Yeah.
We may have something that can help with that, and I'm sure, Richie, you'll be happy to talk to all of our audience about that at a later stage. On to the next question. This harkens back to the procurement phase from Terry Holland. What is an example of the gotcha requirements mentioned by the panel?
I mentioned the gotchas. Right, how many people have problems with syllabus scheduling lectures on the same day if they don't run a script? Seems pretty simple that you wouldn't want all of your 3 one-hour lectures for the same course happening on the same day, but apparently not to some of the vendors.
Okay.
There's lots like that as well. There's lots.
Yeah.
There's just one, but there's little things that you just assume that a scheduling tool would be able to do. Think about all the scripts you used to run. That's what I would say.
Okay,
Another
great,
one that we
thanks.
had was for ad hoc bookings, where they've got multiple rooms for the whole semester, and they come and say, I don't need one room on the third week, or I don't need two, I only need one room on the third week, and you have to go and somehow, it was a really huge process to actually have to go through and get rid of that week and then go back and book the rooms. That's something that's really simple in TimeEdit because of the concept of having individual weeks for building up the activity.
I think
Okay,
for
great.
me,
Go ahead,
for
Melbourne,
Melbourne,
Madeline.
yeah, for Melbourne University, I think is the location configuration, the ability to create parent and child rooms of different configuration, which during COVID, I believe it hits everybody that you can't schedule things at ease because of the size limitation, capacity, especially for Melbourne. I know we were in a lockdown and we went online, but the ability to flip the location and the configuration, now TimeEdit has provided that functionality that allows us to have different configuration for a particular room.
Great, thank you.
Another one, I'm just listening to Madeline, another one that suddenly jumped in, online rooms. The ability to be able to go to say, this is an online room, don't do any clash checking in this room, put as many people in as you want. That was huge. We had sort of 4 or 5 or 6 different online rooms that we had to create before. Being able to do it just with one and not do any clash checking was great.
We might have another one to put you on the spot there, Madeline, while you're speaking up, and the other panelists too. But next one was: do any of the panel use TimeEdit for medicine programs? And we find medicine to have the most challenging requirements. That's from Jenny Wilson.
Melbourne Uni does. We are trying to move the whole Melbourne Medical School onto the system, and we just finished all our workshop. So now it's about how we collect the data.
Okay, moving on to the next one, and this is from Terry Holland again for all the panelists, and it relates to the demos. So who did you take from your institution to the demonstrations? How granular were they? And would any of the panel be prepared to share any of the requirements results? Happy for you to censor out vendor names, but she's just keen to understand who was in the room for the demos from your institution. Sorry, Madeline, you can go on to, Carrie.
Okay.
Madeline first.
All right. We have our directors, which will become the sponsor, and we will have faculty in the demo. We actually made an effort to record all the demos so that if any event our faculty colleagues would be interested, or part of evaluation is to rewatch the demo again if they have any questions. So, and the whole central team, maybe partial, depending when they are working on the day itself or not. Yeah. It's quite a big spread. Yeah, and we also have our technical people, actually, our BS, business services.
Compared to Melbourne, we had a much smaller team. So we had myself and our timetable coordinator from the timetabling team, so only 2 of us. We had 2 people from IT. So one's our main IT support and the other one was from security and software architecture. So those 2 were in there. We had our project manager who knew nothing about timetabling and is slowly being trained up to be a timetabler. And then we had our procurement manager who, to be honest, did nothing but click record. We did record, same as Madeline, and we shared those recordings with our subject matter experts from all the faculties. So they weren't there slowing us down in the demos, because quite often they do get a little bit caught up in the detail that they don't need to be caught up in, but they do get to see the overview of it, and they got it their own little demo with TimeEdit as well around the data collection stage. So we had a much smaller group in our demo sessions.
And we were the same. We had the timetabling manager, myself, and space planning director at the time. The three of us looked at the demos, and then we got once we'd decided that TimeEdit was our preferred vendor, we had ICT involved, and we did some more demonstrations then where we got them involved and they asked the technical questions.
Okay, fantastic. On to our next question from one of our viewers over in Wales with the early morning. So the question is, did you use the window of opportunity with the implementation to redesign any of your business processes? And if so, what was the challenge you faced? Blair, go to you. Oh, Kerry. Go ahead, Kerry.
So we had, when our business analyst looked before we went to market, we had 16 bespoke booking systems at UC for all sorts of random stuff. And so I said, right, if we're going to be spending all this money on a tool, we're going to pull those 16 bespoke booking systems into our booking system. So we had to make sure that the booking system we were replacing it with was capable of doing the majority of what those 16 booking systems were. In all honesty, I was just trying to get rid of all of those random as booking systems for rooms where you've got no visibility about how those rooms are being used. So it was basically just a land grab for me. I was just grabbing rooms by getting rid of those booking systems. But it's been very useful for me because now we've got a better picture of how we're using our leased space or our departmentally owned space.
We had actually done that with our previous change. We'd never let a good problem go to waste, a good disaster go to waste. So we use that to make a lot of changes. But I think the one thing I would say about TimeEdit is, unlike any of the other systems we looked at, it is extremely configurable. So it's very easy to go in and try and reproduce what you had before. I think you need to be kind of open-minded and think seriously about what you can do differently and what the system will allow you to do differently.
We did ours concurrently with the process improvement group. So they actually attend our workshop. They actually listen to the faculty and see which are the areas we should be improving on. And for some faculty that were never on the timetabling system, now has to look at the whole design of the process, what it looks like to be, and then works towards that. So that is a big change. And our faculty has been very open to discussion in terms of how are they going to do their scheduling going forward. And I think there's also a wish to actually standardize the way we do scheduling across different faculties. So that was a good sign.
Great, thanks for that. Richie, I'll just flag that we've got 2 minutes left and maybe about a dozen questions to go. So maybe I'll ask this next one and then we'll take it from there. So this one's from Jennifer Wilson. Is there anything you wanted to use TimeEdit for, but were constrained by upstream or downstream systems?
Not that I think we've found yet. We'll keep looking, but we haven't found it yet.
Okay, well, it's still 2 minutes to go, so I'll move on to the next question quickly to try and get it in. From Terry Holland. Did you produce multiple timetable scenario drafts, given how fast the system is, Kerry? So it's you, Kerry. I schedule, produce timetable, then tweak it, i.e. rooms, take rooms in and out and reschedule. So
I actually have done that. Yeah. So the ability to use draft mode in TimeEdit is really cool. And we've got some batshit idea to do a whole lot of conjoints for engineering next year, which engineering is our most constrained faculty here. And so I've been mapping and modeling those conjoints and whether they're even possible before even saying yes to them. So yeah, being able to basically spin up a draft and assign rooms and basically have a timetable that you can manipulate. Yeah, done it several times, works, happy. It's a bit sad to blow them away at the end, which is what I've had to do. But yeah, it's a cool feature.
And Blair and Madeline, any comment to add to that one?
We haven't used that, but that's one of the things that we do want to use. So we'll be coming and talking to Kerry and stealing all her ideas again. But
Right, Kerry's just realised that she's described something as a terrible idea and it's recorded.
We haven't done
Possible.
any modeling work so far because we're still in the process of implementation and looking forward to using the autopilot and see what the results will be, the quality of the timetable. It's important. But I think what Kerry mentioned about the functionality of the ability to shift from plan to draft, was it plan to active? Yeah, that will provide the opportunity to do a lot of modeling and not publishing any of the work. And you do not need to go to another standalone environment to do your modeling. You literally do it in your live data, but not publishing it at the same time.
but I believe it is possible to write it back if you want to. At the end
Yes.
of it, if you decide you want to keep
Yes.
it, you can write it back. So that's
Yes.
yeah.
So be damn careful when you're doing it. That's all I
Yeah.
can say. It's a big button though. It's a big button that warns you, but it's out of the way. But yeah, it is something that makes me a bit nervous. But no, it's a great tool to have.
Questions, and we've
Okay.
got 4 minutes left. Should we try to get through the remaining question in 4 minutes?
There's over 10. So.
Oh, right.
Yeah,
It's when
our audience is
my-
wonderful.
Yes, yes. Did you want to ask the next question? Maybe we'll wrap up
okay.
5 past. Yeah.
Okay. No, I've lost it. Okay. So this question again from Jennifer Wilson. Has TimeEdit taken on functions that were previously done by other systems, such as class registration?
We have allocate for class registration. So no, the only thing that TimeEdit's taken on was those booking systems for us.
Okay.
Yeah,
I'll just
likewise for us.
Wrap up with another one that might be is data collection completed by faculty coordinators, or do individual academics put in their own data collection direct to central timetabling?
You
can
have the
choose.
choice. Yeah.
You can choose.
You can send every module out to an individual person, or you can bundle them up and send a whole lot to one person.
You can also have collaborators. So you can have the department, so the coordinator can be a collaborator, but your admin is the final person that submits it. I like that functionality.
Yeah.
All right,
One
fantastic.
more. Okay. Yep. 2
One
more
more,
minutes to go.
okay.
Yep.
Okay. Okay, here's one from Fiona Hurst. Did you have a dedicated project team, including change management and training, or did you use in-house BAU resources?
I think I said this to Madeline, maybe when you started, and I said, backfill yourself. So when we were doing it, I did not backfill myself or my 2IC, and that was a big mistake because it is a lot of work. You're not buying an off-the-shelf product that you basically just plug your information into. You're building the product from the ground up. It's the love-hate relationship with a fully configurable system. So we did have a project team. I wish I'd backfilled more. And you need to have a dedicated IT person, I would say, as well on that project team. You've got to have them coming along. I just, from a BAU perspective, I know how busy we all are with our jobs, and I wish I'd recognised that at the start of our project and not in the middle of data collection when I was dying and working massive hours.
Yeah,
That's good advice, Kerry. Yep.
And I'd back that up 100%. We did a lot of ours during COVID, so we had, we were in lockdown. It wasn't like we had anything else to do, but the two of us spent a lot of hours on calls to Sweden and Australia. So yeah, if you can find someone else to cover, I think that definitely would help.
We definitely have backfill. We actually, the BAU team literally needs to lead the project. Even though we do have project manager, we do have change manager, we have IT testing lead and integration lead, and quite a big project team. But when it comes to configuring the system, the business needs to be the one that is actually informing how does the configuration get set. So it's important that you have backfill if you're an SME within your area who knows about scheduling and what you need the system to be. So.
All right, fantastic. Thanks so much, everyone. Just conscious that we're 5 past. Now there are 8 more questions left. Would that be right, Patrick?
They keep coming in.
Right.
Keep them coming in.
So
What
we're
we'll
going
do,
to.
yeah,
Yep, go ahead.
we'll
Richard, go ahead.
circulate the remaining questions to Kerry, Madeline, and Blair, get their inputs to them, and then once we've done that, we'll circulate it out to yourselves. Hope that's okay. Didn't want to eat too much into your lunchtime as well, but just on behalf of TimeEdit, thank you for your attendance, the audience, but most importantly, thanks so much for our guests, Kerry Sutherland, Madeline Lee, and Blair Daly, for participating in this fantastic webinar. Hope everyone found this useful, but thanks so much again for your time here today. All right, well, yep, brilliant. Thanks so much. And have a great week. And we'll definitely plan to organize another one of these with the 3 guests, or maybe with others as well. So look forward to that announcement. Fantastic. Thanks, everyone. Have a great day.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Take care.